Russia tested its latest intercontinental ballistic missile Friday. It replaces the world's heaviest ICBM, which NATO dubbed Satan. The move follows an international diplomatic row. On Thursday, the country expelled 60 American diplomats and announced the closure of the U.S. consulate in St. Petersburg. This move matches one made by the United States Monday when the U.S. expelled 60 Russian diplomats and closed the country's consulate in Seattle over the alleged poisoning of an ex-Russian spy in Britain. CBS News foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata is in Moscow. Charlie, how are these tit-for-tat expulsions impacting Russian relations with the U.S. and other countries?
You know, Tanya, they're going to have a significant impact. We're talking about something like 155 diplomats that are going to be thrown out within a number of days. And as one analyst told us, you know, less diplomats, less dialogue. And it's particularly significant when it comes to the United States. 60 diplomats are going to be thrown out, 12 at the UN. It is going to have an impact here. Because those are channels of communication that will be shut down, and they're shut down very quickly. So I think we may have an impression that this is a sort of symbolic punishment that's going on here, but it is going to have an impact. You know, these men and women have jobs to do, and part of that job is to communicate with this country at a time when it is difficult to get inroads. And we're not just talking about the United States or the UN. We're talking about 28 countries, 150 diplomats across those countries. It is going to have an impact, and it is going to have an immediate impact.
And the expulsions seem to be ongoing. Do we know in total, is there yet a final tally on how many foreign diplomats will leave Russia as a result?
Yes, you know, it is ongoing, and it seems to be changing. There's a cap. The British ambassador was summoned to the foreign ministry today to be told that it was going to be more than 23 diplomats that were going to be removed. So this is an ongoing situation. And it has to do really with, as you said, a tit-for-tat situation where you've got the Russians who are retaliating, as they say, to what they believe is hostile actions generated particularly from Washington and London. So, yes, this situation is ongoing. It's changing by the hour, and it's something that's being addressed by the hour. You know, you've got these missions, these areas that are now going to have to be redressed. They're going to have to figure out new inroads of communication because we have to move forward. The Russians and others have to move forward from where we are now because, as many have said, especially here in Russia, that relationships not only with the United States but with other countries aligned to the United States have hit lows that they haven't seen since the Cold War. And that's not the United States using that kind of terminology. Those are people here in Russia.
And Russia, Charlie, has firmly stated that it was not behind that Russian spy poisoning that seems to have started the expulsions, at least, going so far as to say the attack was orchestrated by the Brits to frame Russia. Yet the UK government is so confident that Russia is responsible. Is that right? How so?
Yes, you know, the Russians have vehemently denied any involvement in the poisoning of Sergei Skripal and his daughter in Salisbury, England, now more than 3 weeks ago. They said they had nothing to do with it. And yes, they have suggested that where Skripal and his daughter were poisoned was not far from a testing lab in England, certainly laying the blame or suggesting that the blame may have come from England itself. Now, you know, what this means in real terms, the Russians are simply trying to distance themselves from any involvement that would show that, I mean, they feel that this is being orchestrated by London and Washington. They feel that they're being treated, in the words of one person we spoke to here, as hooligans. The spokeswoman for the foreign ministry said that this is essentially a conspiracy against Russia. Mm-hmm. So the situation that stands now is is one of reparation, but there is neither side, neither the Russians nor the Brits nor the United States seems to be taking any step forward in trying to find some resolution to the situation that we're in now. And in fact, at any rate, it seems to be worsening.
Now, Charlie, Russia released video footage Friday of a test launch of its new intercontinental ballistic missile, the Sarmat, also known as Satan II. Russian state TV said it was capable of striking both the North and South poles. Is Russia sending a message with the release of this video now?
Yes, well, you know, Tanya, it's exactly that, the timing. Nothing happens here by accident. Nothing is a coincidence. And as we've understood it, the test launch of this rocket, Satan II, that was dubbed by NATO, which is capable of overflying the poles. And as President Vladimir Putin has said, it cannot be intercepted. The fact that they decided to release this video of the launch that apparently, according to the Russians anyway, purportedly took place today, yes, on a day when 60 U.S. diplomats have been sent packing, 150 across 28 countries have been sent home. It is a show of force. In addition to that, they sent out video, released video of a satellite, a military satellite that was launched as well. You know, this is Russia flexing its muscles. It's not something that NATO wasn't aware of, that the United States, that the Pentagon wasn't aware of. But yes, the release of that video and the testing that we saw today, it's no coincidence that it was released on exactly the same day that Russia itself is, you know, in the headlines for, well, as we've heard, confrontation and provocation against the West.
Charlie D'Agata in Moscow, thank you.
Thanks, Tanya.